Hi guys, Danny here, and today I wanted to share with you a little bit about dies and cutting them and things like that, because I've had a couple of customers ask for some advice. Now, I personally use a Cricut just because it's what I've got on hand, but there are plenty of different die machines, Big Shot, Sizzix, all sorts of different things floating around. This just happens to be mine. Close to my heart, have one as well, but my theory was that my one isn't broken, so I wouldn't change it. With their machines, they come with a variety of different plates and things with them. You can see mine are exceptionally well loved. I'm going to talk more about those in a moment. So the configurations I talk about today work for my Cuttlebug, but you may need to go back to your instructions or perhaps look it up online what might work best for your machine. Close to my heart have a range of dies that we brand Thin Cuts, and so there are a variety of things. This is from our waterfall card. We've got some full ones that are card fronts, and obviously a variety of shapes and things. So I just wanted to show you very quickly how I personally store mine. This is one of our 6x8 albums, and I have just used the 6x8 pockets, and I've got them in there. Sorry, I think I'm hiding at the bottom of the screen here. And when I've had smaller die sets, I've gone to the pages with the two 6x4s, and even in some, I've got a couple of folders of things, I've gone to some that are the 3x4s as well, really small dies. All our dies come with magnetic sheets, which is really cool, and some of our dies have matching stamp sets and things as well. Just depends on the die. Now, the other thing also you can get is embossing folders. Close to my heart do have embossing folders in our range at the moment. So this is our wood grain one. And the thing I want to point out with our embossing folder, so it's two halves, so it's up to you which side you think is the front or the back, because one side will push the paper into the molded, like the mold of the other side. And so you would just put your paper in the middle. But if you had a longer strip of paper, and I apologize, this isn't a long strip, but paper that is up to about 4.5 inches, nearly 4 3/4 inches wide, can be multiply pressed. So you can do the whole strip by putting in the top up to here, running it through the machine, which I'll show you in a second, and then you can move it up through the gap in the middle to where it finished pressing, shut it again, roll it through again. So that's a really, really lovely thing that I like about our die folders, is that we can do that. So I will start with some of the things that I have. So my machine has what we call a base plate. This is the big chunky white one. And then I have some B plates and a C plate. So I don't know how well you can see this, and sorry if you can't, but the B plate is skinnier than the C plate. And so when I am doing my cutting or my embossing, you need a variety of plates. So to emboss, I actually need two B plates. And I'll do this first and show you. So I'm going to put my paper in the middle, put it between my two B plates. Okay. And then I'm going to put it under and just roll it through my machine. Now, my machine does normally stick to the tabletop, but it doesn't like my plastic surface. So I have a separate table I normally use this on. And voila, we have some embossed wood grain onto my piece of craft. So I'm just going to put that out of the way. Now, when it comes to cutting with your machines, I don't generally cut on the A plate. This is the most expensive plate to replace for my machine, so I don't do that. I do use my B plates for cutting on, or my C plates, as you can see. Some people do use, you can get a metal shim. Some people cut onto metal shims. It really depends on your preference. I also really like my magnetic board here. Now, there's different ways you could use it. You could be putting it straight on, and you could be putting the dies on this way so they don't move, and then putting your paper on top. I prefer to put a B plate down. So the B and the magnet become the same thickness as a C plate for me. And I can put paper on here up to, look, this one I 5, I think 5.5, but you can go up to 5 3/4. I then stick my dies on this way. Without a magnetic plate, my dies do move around a bit, and it is weakened by the B plate being there, but you can also, if you want, add some washi tape to that. I'm going to stick my second B plate on, and I'm just going to roll that through. Don't worry about the clicks and the clunks you hear. That is totally normal for my machine. And you can see when I remove those 2 dies, I have cut out 2 nice little squares, one stitched, one scalloped. The other thing that you may find, if you're cutting, that cut beautifully for me, but I want to show you, and I'm just going to put, doesn't matter that I'm not making this correct because you'll see why in a moment. I just want to run this one through. I was cutting this particular die yesterday and I can't explain why, but it'll probably work perfectly today. I had awful trouble with this yesterday. It would cut most of the die beautifully, and then down the bottom here, you can see it wasn't cutting. It just stopped, and I can't explain why. So what I actually did was I added some pieces of cardstock. I just cut up 2 pieces of cardstock. It's called a shim, and I cut them the same size as my plates. And you wouldn't think that adds a lot of extra to my machine, but it really did. I'm just going to go this way just because the end's hanging out there. And I'm going to feed that through. And just that extra, you can see it's already winding a bit harder, but it doesn't hurt my machine. It just increases the tension. And suddenly I've got all these pieces that pop out at the bottom that before didn't. Okay, so if you're ever thinking a die perhaps isn't working or whatever, try adding a cardboard shim. It does help. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you, if you only have, these are what we call 6-inch plates, and you don't have the 12-inch plates, you can still cut dies that are too long for your machine. Now, silly me, I've just forgotten a second sheet of cardstock, but I will just use this for intents and purposes of today. So what you would do is you would tape, there's my washi, tape your die to your paper. All right, it's going to stop it moving around. And so in this, and I'm going to start it down here lower so you can deliberately see that I'm off the edge of that. And I'm going to run it through my machine like normal with the die deliberately hanging off the end. Then, so it has cut all the way down to here because that's where it had pressure from the plate. I can then move my die up. So if I had, pretend I've got paper, move my die up and I can roll it through again. Because of the washi tape, it hasn't moved. Whoop, hang on, sorry, I'm going to start from the other end. Sometimes my machine, it's a quirk with my machine, doesn't like when it's too thick at the very start. So I often have to just move the die back from the edge of the plate just a little bit at the starting end just to make it work. And that's just a quirk of my thing. And so you can see now I've cut the rest. Nothing's moved, so it is still all happy in shape. So you can do a similar thing if you're wanting to cut. So let's just say for some reason, I'm going to use this piece as an example. I wanted to cut within this, but I only wanted to cut the top section, and I'm going to show you why in a second. I can line my die up so that it's off the edge of my machine, or my edge of my plates, I should say. And now I'm going to roll it through my machine. Now you can roll backwards and forwards if you want to go through in both directions whilst your plate's still in the machine. I generally don't find I need to. So by doing it that way, you can see I've actually only cut out that top section. So this is great for creating little cards. You can see that. Little cards that stand up with a pop-up flap or something. So you can do that with all sorts of things. I hope this has given you a few ideas, guys. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments. Hi, Annette. Hi, Brenda. I'm glad you enjoyed that tip. I will answer comments and things in a moment when I finish. Otherwise, have a great day, guys. Bye.